I think as we communicated more, and since we didn't run away from the problems, I think it got better, because this is what I've seen so many times, is that people will go out there, they will do something, right? They will have an issue. They won't say anything. They'll tuck it down deep into their stomach. They'll let it sit. Now another issue comes up. They won't say anything. They'll grab it. They'll tuck it down real deep again. And another issue comes up. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. Tuck it down real deep. My spouse doesn't know that there's an issue, and we're not going to talk about it, because that's the worst thing, is to talk about problems, right? Yeah. What happens then? Hey, what's going on, guys? So today is a start to a new journey. And what today is the first episode of Marriage is Not What We Expected. Now, why are we doing this, right? Why are we creating a YouTube series for something that is so controversial? Well, the reason is that we've seen so many people get into a marriage, have one little fight, and then break things off. Now, of course, does one fight cause everyone to end up a relationship? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure that things happen over and over and over again that compile up, that really make people pissed off at one another. As you know, it happens with any relationship, whether you are family, like mom and kid, or dad and kid, or whether it is brother and sister, or husband and wife. Because no matter what relationship it is, there are going to be issues. There are going to be problems, and you have to overcome those problems. Now, our goal and our intention for this series is literally to be able to show a little bit of light into our lives, into our relationship, and into other people's relationships that are, still working out, that people are still seeing it through to the end. Because honestly, I believe no matter what the problem is, no matter what the issue is, you are able to work through it. And by doing it together, you will be able to thrive in a better way than trying to get through it apart by yourself. Now, there's Disney movies, there's other movies that will come out there, and they will show you what marriage is supposed to look like, and it always shows the happily ever after, but it doesn't show any of the crap after that. It does not show a light, or even give you a heads up that, hey, marriage is difficult, and that now all your spouse's crap is now just put all onto you. So everything that they have, all the crud that they have on them, is now on you too. And so it can be overwhelming. It can be hard. It can be challenging, especially if, you're sharing a bank account, if you are sharing a house, if you're sharing a lot of different things that you're not used to doing. Now, your spouse may like food that you don't like, and you may like certain things that she doesn't like, and it can be challenging along the way. But ultimately, when you stay and you see it through to the end, I honestly believe that it is very, very beneficial, and it is kind of the whole point of marriage. So we want to, inspire you and encourage you to keep going and to keep seeing it through to the end, because we're all in this journey together. Mm-hmm. You have anything to add for that, Tori?
Nope.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to get into our questions. So the questions that we're going to get into right now are, hold on one second, because everything wants to be weird on me. Okay, there we go. So the questions we're going to get into right now are, what are your names and where are you from?
I am Victoria Johnson, and I am from Canby, Oregon.
My name is Tobias Johnson, and I am originally from Portland, Oregon. No, Rip City. Let's go. Portland Trailblazers all day, even if they are losing. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I respect them each and every day. But anyways, how did we meet?
Oh, goodness. We met at Bible College in Canby, Oregon. That's where we met.
All right. So, yes, we did meet in Canby, Oregon, at the Bible college that we both attended. Um, and that's how we met. To be honest, we had some conversations together, and we did a lot of different things together. As in going to event for shows, which what they are is just a temp agency that we both worked for, and that's really where we got to meet one another for reals. Right?
Yeah.
And so we had some conversations. We knew each other. We talked a little bit. But what was the big thing in that program that you couldn't do?
I could not date for 2 years, and I couldn't have any communication with the opposite sex, like over text or over the phone or anything like that. Like I could in person, but if I got caught talking to a guy in person, it was like I got the eye roll or the look of like, what the heck are you doing? So, yeah.
Yeah, so that is how we met. Me, there was kind of gray areas on that, but we were in different programs. Of course, I went to the same Bible college, but we both did internships in different locations. So that's kind of how we met. And then from there, I stopped attending that college. I had to do other things. To be honest, I had to take care of life and be able to survive. And that in and of itself is challenging. So once we met each other, I knew when she was going to be graduating this internship or this discipleship program that she was a part of, and so I marked it on my calendar. I went to her graduation. We didn't even talk, and then after that, I was like, maybe we could meet up, hang out. And so that's what I told her. I was like, hey, Tori, you want to hang out? And she was like, yeah, that's cool. And what happened next?
It was so weird.
It wasn't weird. It was smooth.
To him, it was smooth. To him, it was a date. To me, it was, just two friends hanging out.
It wasn't a date to me. It was two friends hanging out, and I liked her.
You told me you thought it was a date.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. But not like a formal date. It was like chill.
Formal,
it was just like hang out.
It was just hanging out.
Hang out, get some ice cream, chit chat,
Yeah, but then he took me to a lookout point in Portland, and we are walking up, and there's literally every couple making out that is there. Every couple. You walk up the stairs, every couple on either side, they're all making out. You see fogged windows and cars, and we go and sit down on by the light pole and wherever.
Yeah, it was pretty much just a really amazing view of the city. You could see all the way from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington, which is across the water. You could see a lot of Portland, the downtown area, over by the airport. You could see really far. And so it was just amazing view. And then we went off from there. We got some Sonic. And then after that, she pretty much ghosted me. I told her I was going into the Marine Corps, and she just didn't talk to me. So I went on. I started dating someone else. She started doing something else. What did you do?
I was working in Vancouver, Washington at a church as a assistant youth director, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's what I was doing.
So then after a couple years, I was in the Marine Corps for about a year or so, a year and a half. We linked up again and we started talking again. And so that was cool. That was super exciting for me because it was a girl I really liked and I wanted to get to know more, and then nothing came of it. And I was like, I guess, she don't really care. So whatever. And, I went on Facebook and had my selfie game strong, showing off some muscle at the time. And, things were moving up. I just broke up with my girlfriend. So then Tori reached out to me. Right?
I did.
Right? Yes.
I said yes. Yeah, I did.
No, what happened after that?
Oh. I messaged you. I reached out to you. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Cuz I would message him like every once in a while if I was like thinking about him or something. But then I realized that he had a girlfriend, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll kind of back off." And then one day I was scrolling through Facebook and his profile pictures on point, looking real fine.
Had them eyes like this
Just looking real good.
and the smile like this.
No, you do not have that creepy smile.
I don't
um,
know. There's something though. I got that attention,
I don't know.
like
It was
that.
just like, I don't know. He buffed up, He was like kind of scrawny in college.
And high school.
And I'm like really attracted to men who like, have a little muscle and meat on their bones.
I always had meat on me. It was just very tone, so you couldn't really tell.
Anyways, he had like bulked up, because military, and you're Marine, all Marines I feel like are kind of bigger.
Well, they get bigger the longer they stay.
Yeah.
That's true for everyone I know, at least.
So yeah, I saw his picture and I messaged him and asked how he was doing, and then the rest is history from there.
Yeah, from there we started talking, then we moved on and did some more stuff. But the next question is, so while dating, what were some issues that you guys dealt with that other people saw? Like long distance, finances, working different shifts, communication, or race?
All the above. I feel like.
How so?
Well, long distance was like it's a given because I was in Oregon and he's here in Florida.
Yes.
So time difference with that was hard enough because
3 hours.
he was 3 hours ahead of me, and then I would be working like all day long, and so would he. And he's not allowed to have his phone in the workplace, so he couldn't like message me or anything like that during the day. And so I was like so antsy, just like waiting all day for him to text me back. It was hard.
That's how I got her. Hey, that's how you hook them in. You like don't text them until the evening, and they're like,
oh my gosh.
no.
But that's like the only time he could text me was after he got off work, which was like 6:00 here, which is like 3:00 in Oregon.
Yes. Well,
So-
it was like 4 or 5-ish, 6-ish.
Yeah, so it just depended, but it was like in the evening time always, and I was like getting close to the end of my shift for work for me, and I was a nanny, so I was busy obviously taking care of kids, and
Yes. Yes, you were.
so that was a big one.
Yeah, I think that was a big one as well. So communication was hard because like we knew each other, but we didn't really have that time close
Yeah.
to get to know one another, and so that communication was hard.
Yeah.
Race was different. It wasn't
Yeah.
like that weird because I'm pretty light for a mixed kid. My
Yeah.
mom's black, my dad's white. It looks like I never go out in the sun, which is kind of close to being accurate.
Yeah.
But so I'm very light skinned, but to people in Oregon, I'm like a black guy,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny. Because in Florida, no one would know I was ever even close to black. So
No.
because there's a lot more darker skinned people, even
Oh, yeah.
white people are like they have really good tans.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. So with that, that was kind of an issue, but not really. I know my mom wanted me to get with a darker skin person so that she could
Yeah.
have darker skin.
That was
grandkids,
always my
but-
goal too. I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to like marry a darker skinned person so that I could have cute little brown babies running around. Now I have the whitest child ever, but still,
Well,
it's the cutest baby ever.
Yeah, he is. So
love him.
so yeah, that was kind of, the issues, the communication, but we were able to talk
Yeah.
eventually, and then eventually Tori was able to actually come visit. She visited when around spring break time,
Yeah.
so that was nice, and that's when we really started dating. That's when we really knew, hey, we actually like one another, because it's one thing to be like long distance talking to someone, talking over Skype, which Skype is amazing that
Yeah.
we were able to actually talk face to face and see like our physical response to different things,
Yeah.
and not just chat on the phone, because it's kind of hard to know like facial expressions or how people do things
Mhm.
without actually seeing them. So
Yeah.
that was cool. And so with it, that's how we got to know each other more, but we had to get like in person, talk to one another, do things, hang out without being on the phone to actually confirm that we really do like one another. And so that's when we really knew that we did.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next question. While dating, what were some issues you guys dealt with internally? Like trust, not knowing if you're ready to get married, been hurt too many times, being scared of getting divorced, loyalty, or you're an independent person. Like what are some things? I know a lot of people, they'll have challenges, they'll have struggles because they're like, I'm so good by myself. It's just easier to not get with someone else. But what were some issues that you had with like, me before we got married? Or our relationship, internal issues that like really affected you, past relationships, anything.
Yeah, I mean, trust is always was difficult just cuz, you know, he's a Marine, right? And Marines like to go out and party and have a good time.
Party hardy.
And also like there's a ton of girls who are always trying to get with military guys. So it's like he would, there'd be times where I like call him or Skype him and he'd be like out at a party and you just kind of like, okay, you're at a party right now and I'm not there with you. So it's like I'm like trusting him to make good decisions and not hook up with another girl. Cuz it would be so easy for him just to do that and not tell me and I would never know. Um and then not knowing if no, that wasn't really one. I'd say also like being scared of getting divorced. That's always been a big one for me just cuz I grew up in a split family. Ever since I was a baby, like my parents have been divorced and watching my dad go through another divorce when I was a little older, and then getting remarried again. So that was always like scary because I was just like, I don't, I don't want that for myself. I don't want to ever have to experience going through a divorce or a heartache, that's that big and having it, affect my kids in the future. And it's like, I just didn't want my kids or myself through that experience. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing for me with the trust aspect. It's just like, hey, do you actually like me? It's long distance, but in person, do you actually love me? And so that was a hard part. But on top of that, the really big one was like past relationships. So I was coming out of a relationship where, I was pretty hurt. And so with that, it was hard for me to get back into something and be like, I really don't want to get hurt again. But the biggest thing that kept me moving forward was just knowing that I liked Tori for a long time. And I told my mom, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get with this girl. I'm gonna start dating her, and then we're gonna get together for the long haul. And my mom looked at the picture and she's like, yeah, right. And then just laughing, cracking up. It was the funniest thing. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that was the hard part. Now my parents are still married. They've been married for a very long time, almost 30 years, I want to say. Um, yeah. So that's very encouraging for me. I was always huge about like, hey, I'm gonna get married one time, and I'm not gonna, redo this, because if my parents could do it, and they went through a lot of crap. I'm not saying it was a walk in the park, but I saw them stick it through and fight for their relationship a lot of times. And so that encouraged me and allowed me to know that, yes, it is possible, even if it is challenging, to get through difficult things together. And so with that, that was a big thing for me, was like trying to know that the person I loved actually loved me back and was willing to see it through as well in a relationship and not just give up when things get started. Also, another worry was taking her away from her family, and her parents' approval and whatever, because I'm in the military currently and I'm almost done. But, that is like, I'm going to literally take her 3,000 miles away from her family. And that can be challenging for families to let go and allow that to happen. So that was just kind of something that I was dealing with internally. And so I was like, Tori, hey, let your family know this is going to happen, or I'm going to probably do certain things to kind of just get their mind prepared for things that were happening down the road. And so that helped out a lot. So moving on to the next question. What was something that could have stopped you two from getting married, or a big thing that made getting married take longer than normal, or made getting married more challenging?
Oh gosh. To think about that one, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So if you want to go, or you want to go first, or
yeah, what was the thing that could have stopped us from getting married? Like a big point in our relationship that could have just like cut everything off and just been like, nope, not happening.
Well,
and you don't have to be like so specific where you give names or do anything like that, but yeah.
I mean, like a big part was obviously walking into something knowing that, okay, so Tobias is coming back.
I've never met family or anything,
coming
right?
back home, to like visit in July. So we had been together in March, and then he was coming back for the 4th of July and stuff like that. So, mind you, like Tobias said, like, we have never met each other's families at all.
Yeah.
Like, he met my mom and my stepdad briefly, but he hadn't met my dad and my stepmom or my brothers or anything like that. So, one thing that would have probably stopped me from marrying him would be that I never got my dad's approval for me to marry him, or he didn't get his approval, because that's like a really big deal to me, because I am the only girl. I'm like my dad's only daughter. So if he wasn't gonna approve it, it's like, okay, well then that's like as much as that's like gonna break my heart, it's like, if my dad doesn't approve, then we're not going to get married right now,
Yeah. That was, so one of the biggest challenges was the long distance and the lack of being there and getting to know people.
Yeah.
I came into town for about a week, and that week, like, first day I'm there, day's done, right? The second day, the third day. And so when that's the first time that you're meeting family, it's really hard to come there, say, hey, my name's Tobias. Nice to meet you. Do a couple things together. Hey, can I marry your daughter? Like, like it's just super awkward, and it's hard. It's challenging. But what was it? It was like, if I didn't do it then it would have just taken longer and longer.
Yeah. probably would have taken until probably like
Another year.
another year or like Christmas time or whatever.
Which is fine. You know, it's good to wait, but it's just hard to be in a long distance relationship with like the love of your life
Yeah.
and not actually be there with them.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that was hard, challenging, and honestly could have stopped us in a big way from getting married. Another thing was just being able to move you back and having it be okay with everyone, because literally I felt like someone who was coming in and just like taking a daughter away from her family, you know. And so that was very challenging for me, but I really think that could have stopped everything, is that no.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Now, if we would have got the no, I'm sure we would have, still waited a little bit longer. But I don't think it would have gotten better with time. You know, it was something. It's like, I love you, you love me. All right, let's do this. You know.
Yeah.
The biggest question of today. All right, why did you two have to get married? Can you describe what you were feeling in that moment?
Why did we have to get married?
Like, there's a point in all of our lives where we realize we were meant for each other and we want to live out every single moment together. What was that moment like where you're like, I've got to marry this guy? Or me, I got to marry this girl right here. She is the best thing.
Yeah.
Better than sliced bread.
Oh my gosh. I think for me it was like it happened like I think we had been talking for like a month or so, and I was just like, yeah. like we were just like messaging one night, you know, and I just like every time I would talk to him it was just like more affirming, like every time of like, okay, yeah, this is the man that I'm supposed to be with, and I really just like feel like this is the person that the Lord brought me to be with for the rest of my life. And also just like getting to know him even more and seeing his heart for and his passion for things in life. And
yes,
it was just like, I don't know, it's just really affirming. Kind of made me emotional just thinking about it.
Yes. For me, it was just like when I first met her and we were talking with one another, and both of us had big goals, big dreams, and big plans. And I think the biggest part was that we were equally yoked in a sense,
Yeah.
on like our relationship with God and everything. That played a huge role into that aspect of our lives. And so that was like, hey, you know, I want to pursue a relationship with someone who's on the same page as me, and that is striving for more each and every day. And so that was really cool. And just, you know, the beauty that Tori has, the good looks was really, really big, but on top of that was just her sweet heart and her loving and caring and nurturing like vibe that she would put off, and she'd care about everyone. And so that was just really cool, and it allowed me to be like, yeah, this girl, like, we're gonna get married. Now, I thought this back in college, and I was confident that we would, based upon our conversations. But you know, as time goes on, as years go on, you're like, it may not, this may not be working out.
Yeah.
And then, crazy enough, you messaged me, which is just that's just weird. You know what I mean? Like, usually you don't get messaged by someone that you've been trying to get with for a while and just blew you off and ghosted you. But, you know, I'm glad she did message me, and I'm glad I was forgiving. So, you know.
I wasn't okay when I did that. I just wasn't. I literally just come out of like a 2-year discipleship program where I wasn't allowed to date at all. So it's like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna just like jump full into a relationship with somebody right now, because literally it was the day of my graduation that he wanted to like hang out, and then it's just like a lot for me to
it's a lot to process, going through that, because 2 years of like not being allowed to do something, it's like almost like you want to kind of ease back into it, because you didn't have social media, you didn't have a lot of things. But yeah, with that, I was like very, very convinced just by our love with one another and the way that we cared about each other, but we also were encouraging one another to do more and more in life. It was like, I don't think I could live life without her. You know what I mean? Like she is so great, and of course you only see all the good things. Especially if you're on long distance, you never have to really work with one another or any of the bad, or you don't see it, it's hidden. And so that's just how it was, and I was very glad that we actually got married. We got the yeses.
Yes, we
and
did.
then then that happened. So after getting married, everything was great, right?
No, far from it. Way far from it.
But the honeymoon moment was a magical.
Yes, the honeymoon was
a magical moment.
It was great.
Like literally the first 2 days were just like, this is crazy. Like we're married. Like what the heck?
Yeah.
Like yesterday we weren't, and today we are. So everything was great. Everything was fine. And then what happened? Then we had to travel 3,000 miles from Oregon back to Florida, where Tori was moving to a whole new environment, and I was coming back home into a whole new environment because we got an apartment. And it was just insane, because it's like we've never lived together yet. We're just jumping both feet in. It's like when you are learning how to swim for the first time and you just jump into the deep end. That's kind of what it was like. We just jumped full-fledged into it.
Well, and it's like you also have to imagine only seeing your significant other like in a week, like time span, every like 4 to 5 months. So it's like, oh, how many times did we actually spend together before we got married? It was probably
like
10 days.
Person to person. Now, of course, we did Skype for like 9 months.
Every day,
almost pretty much every day, if not every day minus like one day.
But like in-person like contact and face-to-face conversations and working through things, it was literally like, I'm pretty sure like a total of 10 days we were together face-to-face. And so now we're just like jumping full in, living together every single day, learning how to live life together,
learning the slight differences that each other has. So that was an adventure, and I think traveling 3,000 miles across the U.S. with someone that you've never spent more than 10 days with in a person-to-person environment, and that was like 2 separate occasions.
It wasn't even consecutive, it was split up.
So that you can learn a lot about someone. And by the time we got to Florida, what happened? We were exhausted, tired. I don't know if you have driven or drove a lot of cross country trips, or like, I don't know, from Oregon to Florida, or from Portland, Oregon to New York, or anywhere that is like multiple day trip. It is exhausting. It is tiring. And then like, it's challenging, and then when you're both tired and you're both just like snapping at each other and you've never seen that, it's kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah, but I don't think it was like
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't bad. It was like
fun, you know?
It was like most of the time we had a really good time. We had a lot of fun. We got to see a bunch of things together. But it's like when we got to like the end of like I guess when we had been driving for like a long amount of time and like Tobias is driving through the night or whatever, that's when your attitudes start to get a little short because you're getting to the end of the day and you're driving through the night and you've been up for so long, and then finally like reaching the last like stretch of our trip, it was just like we just want to be in our bed.
Yeah, exactly. And so with this, when did the honeymoon phase end?
Oh gosh,
when did that end, Tori?
I mean, for me it was probably like
3 months.
No, way sooner than that.
1 month.
No, it was like a week after we had lived in Tampa.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that was when you like started traveling and everything like that.
Yeah, okay. So what were some big issues you had to overcome? I'm going to touch on this a little bit. When I came back to Tampa, in the military, it's funny how it works. You're doing stuff based upon the military's needs. And so I was told I wasn't going to be traveling, even though I wanted to. At the time, like prior to getting married, I wanted to be on that team where I traveled all the time and I did stuff. But they were like, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, cool. All right. And so we got married. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be traveling. I'm not going to be doing this stuff. I already got denied to transfer to this team that got to travel around the world and support a really cool mission. And so I was like, cool, and then I get back, come back to work, and they're like, hey, so we're moving you over to this other team. Now, what you guys don't know is that team travels half of every month or more.
Yeah.
So that's 2 to 3 weeks out of every month. They're gone away from Tampa. So now I'm moving my wife from Portland, Oregon down to Tampa, Florida to literally be there by herself, which was hard for me because I felt bad and it was very challenging, but I'll let Tori get into that and how that felt a little bit.
Yeah, I remember him coming home from work and being like, so babe, this is probably going to be happening, like I'm going to be starting to travel like next month, and that really sucked. I think the hardest thing for me, obviously, like Tobias said, was moving all the way down here and not knowing anybody or the area, and just being left alone. Like, just imagine being left alone in a room for like weeks at a time, just
no
by
work,
yourself. You don't
nothing to
you don't
do.
have a job. You don't know what to do with yourself. You're just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just watch TV every single day of my life. And
and so we merged our finances together at that moment when we got married. So for me, that was hard because it was like I'd go on trips. Tori was making sure to pay her stuff, but like my stuff, it was like he could pay it, and I'm like, I can't pay it. I'm overseas. I got no connection.
He didn't, no.
So we didn't communicate, and so like we dropped the ball on a lot of things that we weren't able to even plan because like that I was on the road, and I was traveling. So
yeah, so I was like unaware of how to log into his accounts and how to pay his bills and stuff like that. So that's why I wasn't paying his stuff, because I didn't know how.
She didn't know how. It was just like not communicated.
Yeah, and so yeah, that was a difficult conversation to have, because he obviously would come home and he didn't want to deal with it, but he did, and yeah, he was just like very frustrated.
Yeah, there was a lot of stress on the road too. So what increased drinking, anger, impatience, things that were like I was gonna snap. So I'd come home, and the first thing Tori would be like, "Hey, this is going to tell me everything." from like the past 2 weeks of what has been going on, what has been happening, what we're going to be doing, all this. And I'm like, hey, I just want to sleep, right? So the hard part for me was I would come home, I'd go to sleep immediately. Tori would feel like I don't want to spend time with her. And that connection was just, like the traveling just, it brings a hardship on our relationship. When the only time we're getting to know how to work together and work with one another is by spending that time with one another. And now the good part is I am very honest, to say the least, or very blunt. But that's also a weakness, a huge weakness to a lot of issues we had in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so like that was, it was good. I was like, hey, this is what's going on. You do this, I'm used to the military, right? And that's how they you lay it out there. If you have a problem, you just let them know, And so that's what I would do. Not everyone does that. Of course, people have different approaches, but in the Marine Corps, we're pretty blunt about different things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough time. Like, and if I get emotional, I'm blaming it on my pregnancy because I'm 9 months pregnant right now.
Yeah, she's about to have the kid. That's why we had to record
make this real quick. So yeah, if I cry, it's my emotions all over the place. Yeah, it was really hard. Because like you said, he would just come home and he would just want to sleep, or if I tried to like talk to him about anything or communicate to him, he would just yell at me or get mad and go to sleep.
It's like I've been up for 24 to 29 hours just doing stuff, coming back, and I just want to decompress from all this stressful stuff, because I'd go over to like Iraq or Afghanistan or like all these Middle Eastern countries and do a mission that was very, very important, and you had to be on your toes at every moment. So it was just,
so
stressful.
So you have to put yourself in my shoes, though, because like I'm alone. I don't talk to anybody for 2 weeks at a time.
She can't talk to me.
I can't talk to Tobias
because we're on different time zones.
He's overseas and he's working constantly. And so I literally would just be by myself, literally by myself. And so obviously I was so excited for him to be home. And I was like, yes, I can finally hang out with somebody and talk to somebody. And as like the trips went on, it never got better. It was just like, I just felt like I was not even married. Like I was just there and I was just living with this person that came and went, and he was just my roommate pretty much. Like,
yeah.
We slept in the same bed together yet. That's it.
Yeah, so that was one of our biggest issues that we had to overcome. And now that was challenging. Like there was yelling matches, there was a lot of mean things said to one another, there was like stuff being thrown, things being broke. It was not a fun time.
No.
But at that moment, at that point in time, we had to decide whether we wanted to give up or to push in and to try to overcome these issues that we were having.
Yeah.
Now, that was challenging in and of itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to work through anything with someone who thinks so different than you do, or may have just different emotional effects to things that are said a certain way.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or like me, I'm like, just tell me what's wrong or what you're feeling. And then Tori's like, doesn't, because that's just not how or what she's done for 23 years of your life? 22 years of your life. So it's like we have all these things that we've learned from our circumstances, from our situations, and we've learned how to deal with them in specific ways. And so it's hard to just like automatically do it a different way. And so that was the challenging part. And we were able to overcome that. It took a lot of talking. It took a lot of hashing out, and it took a lot of working through issues, right?
Yeah. It was awful.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful for you. I think it was fine. Every time I went into something, I always thought it was just a conversation. Like, I understood that she loved me, I loved her, and that we were good, right? But
No.
that's not how Tori took it. You know, I didn't think it was that bad, but like in my family, like even if it's my mom or my dad, if we don't like something, we'll just say it. And at least for me and my mom, more so. My dad he's good at, not.
Speaking his mind.
Yeah. So
He's better at holding his tongue.
yes. So that was just different and harder for Tori to get. But I think as we communicated more, and since we didn't run away from the problems, I think it got better, because this is what I've seen so many times, is that people will go out there, they will do something, right? They will have an issue. They won't say anything. They'll tuck it down deep into their stomach. They'll let it sit. Now another issue comes up. They won't say anything. They'll grab it. They'll tuck it down real deep again. And another issue comes up. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. Tuck it down real deep. My spouse doesn't know that there's an issue, and we're not going to talk about it, because that's the worst thing, is to talk about problems, right? Yeah. What happens then? Usually all those things regurgitate, they get thrown up and spewed out in one moment's notice that can end everything. Yeah. This person could be like me. I would have been oblivious to it, but I knew something was wrong, and I would almost force Tori to tell me what was wrong. I was like, I'll wait all night. Force me to tell him. It
was awful.
Because I knew that we needed to deal with a situation, a problem. I wasn't forcing her because I thought it was bad. I was saying we need to have a conversation because it's going to ultimately positively impact our relationship. And so I think it was good that we worked through it, but it was very challenging at the time.
Yeah, because for me, the way that I process my emotions and my feelings, I am able to communicate them back,
is to not process them at all.
No. That's not it.
But that's what I thought.
No, it's to, leave me alone for 10, 15 minutes so I can process my thoughts.
Which I'm horrible at, right?
He's horrible. He still doesn't do it to this day.
Hey, I try. I do a little better. I try. I'm improving, right? Small victories.
No, it's if you're like me and you're needing time to take a minute and pause and get your thoughts together so you can communicate them clearly. It's and then you have this person who refuses to leave you alone.
I'm like, don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me how it is. I'm like, if it's bad and you cuss and it's not nice, I don't care. Just tell me, I'll deal with that. I get cussed out all the time in the military. It's not that big of a deal. I'll understand that I messed up. And so that was a hardship, is I wanted that from her, but that's never how she was going to do it, to be honest. And she wanted me to not do what I was doing, which was just be very straightforward and honest without considering any type of emotions, because we kind of put a shell around us in the military, because you're in situations where you have to act upon instinct and not emotion, because then you're making the wrong decision if you make an emotional decision, in a sense.
Yeah, so a good majority of our marriage, and still to this day pretty much, his emotions are not there. He doesn't let anything,
they're distant.
He doesn't let anything affect him. He doesn't have any emotional sympathy or anything towards you if you're upset, or anything like that. He's gotten a little better, but not really. 'Cause he's learned not to deal with that, He can't let himself get involved. Like if I'm upset or anything like that, um, recently, he's actually shown me that he's getting a lot better at it. Just because, like, over the phone, oh my gosh. I called him one day because our dog freaking ate our whole dinner right before I was about to stick it in the oven to cook. And I called him and I was like super frustrated and overwhelmed. Mind you, I am 9 months pregnant, calling him and being super upset, and all my emotions are everywhere. And he actually like responded completely different than I thought he would respond, because usually he would be like, well, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have left it out. Why did you do that? You know, usually he would blame me for it happening, but he didn't do that this time.
Not blame you, but evaluate the situation and see what we could have improved on.
Yeah, I had walked to let Oakley out of the kennel, and I was going
That's
to
our
walk.
dog.
I was going to let him out the back door, and to get to our back door, you have to go through the kitchen. And I was like 2 seconds. I was grabbing Art off the stairs because he was trying to climb up them.
Which is our son.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. Anyways. And so I grabbed Art off the stairs, and I don't hear Oakley. And so I come around the corner, and he has the whole pork tenderloin in his mouth. The whole thing. And I lost my mind. I freaking wanted to beat the crap out of him. So I let him outside, and I called Tobias because I was so livid. And then I freaking see like the laundry basket on the floor that I've been asking him to take up for like the past so many days, because I can't carry it because it's too heavy, because it's literally like piled high of folded clean clothes that need to be put away. And so I start crying, and I'm like, can you have it taken? You have it taken up the laundry basket. Anyways, it was just like he responded in a way that I needed him to respond. And it was just showing me that he's actually starting to learn how to respond to me in the way that I need to be responded to. And he's really like just catching on to the emotional support, I guess, that I need during those times of frustration to calm me down.
Yes. Which I honestly don't think enough relationships allow each other to, figure one another out and figure out how to work together better. We expect to just have everything perfect from the get-go. I think we're in a mindset where like you can go to your phone, you can pull up Facebook, you can post something and boom, it's already out there, right? We can go on our phone, we can ask Google, hey, how do I do this? And it's done immediately, right? But when you have anything good and anything that's worthwhile, it takes time. Like starting a business, like going to school and getting a degree, a bachelor's degree, it takes 4 years, or even an associate's, it takes 2 years. That's a good amount of time, like working out and getting in good shape, and not just, I don't know, taking the shortcut and taking drugs to try to look good or whatever, right? Yeah. Like doing it the healthy way, not taking a bunch of stuff that you don't need that are going to harm you in the long term, right? So all those things take hard work, and they take time, and they take patience, and they take a system that you have to learn and you have to get familiar with and comfortable with. And honestly, I think we don't allow ourselves to get in arguments, to get in fights, and to resolve those fights and arguments. Usually it's like you get in a fight, you get in an argument, you get in a fight, you get in an argument, you get in a fight, you get in an argument, but you never resolve anything, right? Yeah. And that non-resolution is why those problems are still there a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, is because you haven't moved on. You haven't gotten through it. And so it's kind of hard to improve and become better and to like speak better to Tori when I just don't know her as much as I thought I did. Like no matter if you're close or far away, the issues that you deal with, like, oh, why did you do this? Or why are you cooking like that? Or why is there not enough seasoning on the food, or why haven't you mowed the lawn yet? Like all these differences, or raked the leaves, or whatever it may be. All these differences that we have are something that we have to learn that we do differently. And you have to allow that time to do it. But I think, we're able to overcome these struggles, these challenges, because we realize that there is a commitment and that this thing is good. The reason we got married in the first place was why? Because we believed that we needed each other. We needed to be married. That together we would do more than we would if we were apart.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Think about that if you're going through challenges and struggles. But we're going to move right along. What are some things you have accomplished since being married? Now, this can be your own personal accomplishments, because ultimately you wouldn't have done them without the support of each other. Or, things that you've accomplished together, like kids, starting a business, different things like that. What are some things you have accomplished, Tori? And you have done a lot. Don't cut yourself short. Personal, family, any type of accomplishments?
I had a kid. And I'm about to have another one.
Huge accomplishments, because both pregnancies have been healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What else? What else do you do currently? Through Monday through Friday?
I work from home. But I mean, that's not really an accomplishment.
Hey, that's a huge accomplishment. Literally, it's a huge accomplishment, because you're able to do work from the house and get paid, in actual wage. And so that is, you got hired, you're able to do that. What else? What else are you able to do, like on Sundays, other days? Like, you play a big role in the children's ministry at church.
Yeah. I mean, to me, those are like just things I volunteer to do. I don't see them as accomplishments.
It's a huge accomplishment. It's a feat, because you are literally helping these kids' lives, and you play a big role into it, and into their development, into into their lives, honestly. But other big accomplishments that we've accomplished together is we bought a house.
Yes.
That was just huge. We were living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, we got to do something more. And so from traveling, from, having all that time apart, it felt like it was literally just ripping us apart. And I needed to find a way out. We started a business, hence, this video. We made this video purely for people who are married. We want to see them revive their lives and revive their relationship and their marriage, and expose kind of the truths of marriage and how it's not easy, but it is worthwhile in the long haul and the long run. So with that, a big accomplishment was getting this house. We bought at 23, we bought a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home in Florida with a built-in pool in the back, 15,000 gallon pool, which is amazing. And it was just something that we had to shift our mind to be able to do, but we were able to do it. And it's kind of insane, because a lot of people aren't able to do that. So that was a big feat. Another thing was a business, we set up a business, multiple. We have an e-commerce business. We have affiliate marketing businesses, and that's just been amazing. And in a couple months, honestly, I'm going to be a full-time entrepreneur. I'll never have to work a traditional job again. Yeah. Will I be working? Yes, I will be working my butt off every single day. Just because you're not at a 9-to-5 job doesn't mean you aren't hustling and busting your butt every single day. So with that, it's a huge accomplishment. And just the amount of stuff that we've been able to do together, like this series. And then I'm starting a podcast soon. All that stuff is just huge. Like not having to work again when May comes right now. Yeah, it's insane to me because I'm 25, she's 25. Like if we can do this, I know anyone else can. And so especially with the issues we've had, and I'm talking about not like do the business side, I'm talking about do the relationship thing, right? If we could do this, I really think anyone can, because we had a lot of crap thrown our way and a lot of challenges that we've had to overcome. We just had to, decide to make that commitment. But those achievements, like, honestly, without Tori being here, I couldn't have done them. Like the 2 kids. Anyways, how are you different today compared to when you first got married? What are some new things that you two are passionate about now? Of course, besides having sex all the time.
You're mainly passionate about that.
Well, I mean, you're pregnant, so.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
All right. How are you different today compared to when you first got married?
I'd say I'm a lot stronger and a lot more like dependent, because I was, or independent, not dependent, but I was really dependent on Tobias when we first moved down here, because I'm like literally for everything, like emotional support, everything. I just depended on him a lot because it was just me and him.
Yeah, and there's a lot of areas lacking, like new family, like family played a big role in your life, and not having them like right there to be able to, you could still talk to them, but it's just different,
Yeah, and then also just like being a spouse in the military, it makes you a hell of a lot stronger, because you're having to learn how to live life pretty much by yourself in different places wherever the military takes you, And so I've just noticed that I've become, just a lot more stronger, because I was really timid and stuff like that when we first got married. And I'm just a lot more confident.
I feel like I could give you something to take care of, and you will do like an outstanding job, and you'll do even more. Like with the kids, just taking care of Art is hard enough, but doing that and working 40 hours in a week, Monday through Friday, that's insane. Like a lot of people have a hard time doing it, but they have a hard time doing it because they have to put their kid in like daycare, which costs a lot, right? You're doing it, your work, and literally watching Art too, and feeding him and changing it. It's insane. And still dealing with the dog, which is a handful. He's a handful.
He is a handful.
He loves attention. He loves to play, which makes him a handful at times.
I kind of need to see it again.
I accidentally locked out
my
phone.
For his phone to pop up.
But I mean, now that it lets me log in, oops.
That was like how I grew.
Yeah, like what are some new things that we are passionate about? So I'm gonna go into this some different things that I've experienced is when I first got married, I was all about me in a sense. You know what I mean? We kind of all are. Like all we know is how to deal with ourselves. I feel like I'm more caring. Like I can actually go out of my way and do things that are not what I want to do. And sometimes I still don't.
Sometimes.
But
sometimes. Yeah.
But like I see that I've gotten stronger and that I've gotten more confident and that I am able to do more when like we're together. Like uh, the ability to be able to run businesses and to know that my wife's got my back. Um, it's allowed me to thrive in ways that I never would have. Having, a son together and raising him has actually made me kind of a new person, and it's made my desires kind of shift into being the best parent that I could possibly be, and being the best dad and being the best husband. And I've just seen a huge amount of self-improvement and growth, not only from you, but like from myself, without, trying to sound too boastful or, trying to talk myself up, like I'm the greatest thing in the world, because I screw up and I still fail. And I feel like that we are always there for each other. Like, if you're having a hard time, I still got your back, and I will be there to, help you out through everything. Where before I'd be like, figure it out, you know what I mean? And I would say it a lot, and Tori would be pissed off, P.O. She'd be pissed off because she'd be like, "What?" Like that was, and sometimes I'd do it just to, kind of piss her off, but I had no compassion, no empathy.
At all. Zero.
It's a different beast in the military. You tell people like all kinds of stuff, and you're not supposed to emotionally act. Now, trying to have a relationship with someone that I care about and not knowing how to differentiate how to communicate.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown in communication a lot as well. And it's honestly made me a better person. Now, for both of us, this is huge. Some things that have like transformed together, new passions that we are about, is helping out different marriages in similar situations, like military relationships, but also just marriages that people are not passionate about their jobs, not passionate about what they're doing, and not passionate about where they are or where they're going because of what they have now, right? And so like us, we're passionate about helping 100 families each year be able to change their lives now in one way or the other, whether it's their marriage, whether it's through a podcast that I'm doing, whether it is through actually taking them under our wing and kind of showing them the ropes to starting something for themselves. We have a huge passion about people, and like we've been able to thrive through our relationship. We've been able to thrive through our businesses. So we really want to share that wealth and help other people out along in the process. So that's a huge passion for me. What are some other things you think we have together? Or some new goals, visions, dreams that have stemmed from being in this marriage?
Oh gosh.
I'll start. For me, like a huge passion is to be an audio engineer, right? I start school in September at this amazing school out of Arizona. And so, that's where I'm going to be going. And it's just super exciting because I'm able to show my kids that if there is something you want to go out and get, that you're able and you're capable and you can do it, right? And so my goal is to do that and set up an audio and video production studio to help out different entrepreneurs trying to launch quality content, and to also help out aspiring Christian artists to make like amazing musical tracks, because that I'm just very passionate about that. And I know Tori has goals about setting up a nonprofit that she may want to go into a little bit. You don't have to tell the name. Don't want anyone to snag it. But you know what I mean? You can explain kind of briefly what you want to do and go into that, because I think that's huge.
Yeah. Um so at our 2-year anniversary, we like sat down and we kind of like hashed out our dreams and our visions
Yeah, we did some vision planning, some goal planning,
just for like
our
the
lives next
future. And
2 to 5 years.
yeah. And so one thing that I've always been passionate about is just helping at risk youth and teens. And so I wanted to start a nonprofit where I just imagine like I have this building, and it's like in a downtown area where a bunch of teens are coming in and out just to either hang out and um play games, like whatever, and just to be surrounded by people that love them and know that they are safe.
Yeah. In like a positive environment where we
Yeah.
can kind of coach them, mold them, and help that love be kind of flowing through us to
Yeah.
give them hope again.
Yeah, and there's like the opportunity of them being able to like do an internship with me or Tobias, and just really feeding into them and giving them life because,
Yeah, and telling them they can do something even if they've had a hard past or dealt with these struggles, where they lost all hope, and pretty much show them that, yes, you can do it, and we want to show you how you can do it and go through the crappy parts of life or that struggles that you're trying to work through now, and accomplish that. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and so that's like, that's one big thing that I would like to eventually like do. But right now, where we're at in life, I'd say like one big thing for me right now is just supporting Tobias to achieve his dreams and his goals because they're literally like months away. And my focus right now is just on our kids and raising our kids and supporting my husband and trying to just like, just support him the best way that I can while raising our kids up in the right way and learning to be patient with the process because it can be hard. It can be challenging at times.
Can be like, I want it now.
Well,
but,
well, for him, but like,
you
I mean, I'm talking about the behind the scenes of like where he's having to go and do his own thing and be separate from me and the kids and just being, again, in that stance of like being alone all the time. And I'm just surrounded by my children and not talking to anybody all week long.
Hey, she's not alone all the time, but there are a lot of times where I dedicate to growing business because I'm also passionate about Tori being able to do her dreams and really just live the life that she desires, which is raising our kids and which is, not having to work a job and be away from the kids and having to have someone else do that work for her. It's just a big thing that we want to do and play a big part into their lives. And so I think another big goal is just to be active parents into our kids' life. Like when our kids have sports games, we want to be there. At the concerts, we want to be able to be there. Of course, I don't know if you'd be able to go to every single one, but we want to actively like take them to school or just be there. Be active parents where it's not like, hey, I'm tied down to this job. I have to, leave you for weeks on end because of this, or this, different excuses, different reasons. So, but yeah, guys, I hope this inspired you and kind of broadened your mindset upon marriage because it is a challenging thing. It is a difficult thing. But it is a very, very rewarding thing. And we're just 3 years into this, right? Like we still got a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. So if you're looking at me and you're like, you're full of crap or whatever, by all means, you can say whatever you want. That's cool. But what I am saying is that we've gone through a fair share of struggles And we're going to be bringing on guests that have gone through even more struggles and have been married for a lot longer, and kind of show different tips and tricks on why they are still married to this day.
Yep.
I attribute a lot of why we're married to God, and literally our relationship with God, and understanding that He is going to be the one that will help us out in different emotional problems or issues that we're having, rather than relying on our spouse to be that person who is your all in all and everything. Now I can come to Him, rejuvenation from Him, and then when I come to love my wife, I'm able to do it out of a better place, rather than expecting her to be perfect, because we're all human here. We all fudge up, right? We all mess up and screw up all the time, and we just can't expect each other to be perfect. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But anyways, with that, guys, we're so excited to see you on the second episode of Marriage is Not What We Expected YouTube series that we have going. And as always, guys, we love you. We appreciate you. If you like this video, definitely drop a like down below. If you think this video will provide value to someone else share the video. Of course, it always makes me smile like I am right now. And as always, let's go out there. Let's revive our lives together. Let's get it done. And until the next video, have a good one.